All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Patriots First and Goal. It is week 15 in the books. The Patriots lost again, but that's okay because we're well used to it at this point. I am Alec Shane, breaking down Patriots Cardinals and week 16, the matchup with the Bills coming up with my good buddy Rich Hill this holiday season. Rich, hopefully this latest loss to the Cardinals did not dampen your holiday spirits.
My spirits about this Patriots team could not get any lower, so I am doing fine. How are you doing, Alec?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. It's funny, man. I feel like when we were broadcasting last season, breaking down the game every week, we're like, the defense is keeping them in it and the offense kind of sucks. And that was we were just kind of wash, rinse, repeating that mantra over and over. And I feel like this season is kind of like the defense sucks and the offense good sometimes, but not long enough to make any real difference. And that's kind of our new mantra for 2024, which I'll take it to a degree. At the same time, this is just a really frustrating team to watch sometimes, man.
Oh, it really is. I mean, we talked about it. Let's go into first and goals.
Let's do it.
Patriots 30-17 loss at the hands of the Cardinals in Arizona. What I find most frustrating about this team is that they're just bad everywhere, right? It's one of those things where I wish that there was some really bad player, or, the teams that are really bad, that just one player that you can just, hey, let's make him a 1,400-yard player, right? Like, I feel like we grew up watching those types of teams where maybe they are a 4-win team, but their running back will get 1,500 yards and 20 scores. And there's just not a single element of excitement as it relates to this team. It's been the case for a while, right? Like, obviously we had hoped that bringing in a different coaching staff would have changed it. It's been pretty blah since Mac Jones's rookie year as it relates to just over conservatism at the quarterback position, calling the entire offense. Drake May's average depth of target in the first half against the Cardinals was behind the line of scrimmage. So you take all of his passes, his average target was behind the line of scrimmage. This is a team that is not serious. It is a team that is not innovative. It is a team that is functionally boring. And all I am hoping for is just one player to look exciting in a given week, and we still can't get that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like how many times can we sit here and say, oh, Drake May looks pretty good for a rookie, and Christian Gonzalez is an all-pro. I feel like that could be our podcast every week.
Every week.
Wrap it up in 10 seconds, and we'd be out of here. But it's tough. And also, man, I think what's on the plus side, I feel like last year our average kind of desperation was, all right, so how's this sound? Does this sound familiar, Rich Hill? They lost 3 yards on first down. They went deep incomplete on 2nd and 13. Mac Jones took a sack on 3rd down and they punted. And that was like 4 of the 8 offensive drives they'd have in a game. Was that exact sequence? Loss of yards, incompletion, sack, punt. They're not doing that anymore, which is good. And there's no doubt that Drake May is the guy, or as much of the guy as he can be right now. But you said it was most frustrating to you. I feel like it's most frustrating to me, especially for the past couple of weeks. I feel like the Patriots get in a hole early, whatever. They kind of get back in it where maybe they're down by like 8 or 10 or even like 4. They're kind of in the game and they need a stop. Not a 3 and out, just a stop to give the offense the ball back. And that is the time when they give up like a 24-play, 99-yard, 18-minute drive that ends in a touchdown. Like the time when they need to make the stop the most is usually the time when the opponent makes the longest, most effective scoring drive of the day that eats up an insane amount of clock that puts the game out of reach. And again, we talked about it before. This is the same defense that was 7th in the league last year. There's really not that much of a difference where they're giving up plays and drives like this. And that just comes down to fundamentals. It comes down to drive, comes down to motivation, comes down to mental toughness. And at the top of all that heap is the coaching. And here we are again, bad-mouthing the coaching. And we're Jerod Mayo once again through AVP under the bus on a lot of things. My theory on this, Rich, is he spent the entire 2024 season trying to prove that he's not Bill Belichick. And he forgot to realize that he's Jerod Mayo, and he's not doing what he wants to do. He's too busy trying to think what other people expect of him. That's my theory. I'm hoping, at least.
What do you think he'd want to do if you were Jerod Mayo? What do you think he'd want to do?
Yeah, I think he wanted to be more transparent with the media, which I'm fine. Not as transparent with the media as he's being. I think he would maybe stop me. I really wish he'd be like Bill Belichick and not giving a single crap what anybody said, thought, or
Yep.
wrote about him, and didn't really garner his press conferences toward the sound bites. How is this going to be perceived by the Boston media? A notoriously difficult market. How are they going to receive me? How are they going to perceive me outside the locker room? I think he's way too concerned with that. I'd like to see him be like, you know what? We are who we are. Y'all like playing for me. I think I'm a good football mind. He's a smart guy. I just wish he'd learn to block out the noise a little more and take that page from Bill Belichick's book and then incorporate his own wrinkles in there. Because I do think the guys want to play for him. They want to play hard for him. But I just don't know if they have any culture in that locker room. I don't think they have any kind of mission statement, no motivation, no identity, and it's really bleeding into the field.
Totally. And it's one of those areas where we've talked about this every single week. They're not getting better. It's not like they've identified some player and they've put them in a position to succeed, offense or defense. It's one of those situations where I can't point to a single thing that Jerod Mayo has done this year. Talent be damned. Talent be damned. We knew it was going to be a rough year from a talent perspective, but I cannot point to a single thing that the offensive or defensive coaches have done that has been good.
No.
That has been putting a player in a position to succeed that they otherwise would not have been in. All I see is a rotating cast of awful decisions on the offensive line. I see just a completely unimaginative offense. I see a defense that has dealt with injuries with Barmore and Bentley and both of the safeties, but has just fallen off of a cliff. I've seen, as you mentioned, outside of Gonzalez, a bunch of players who were very good defenders last year and in years past all of a sudden look like they can't play defense anymore. We are seeing backslides at every single position. And the whole idea that this team had rough pieces, that they weren't going to be competitive from a talent perspective is fine. We went into this year expecting that. But I think the biggest difference between what we're seeing with the Patriots this year and some other teams in other years, when you refer to the Lions a few years ago, Dan Campbell taking over, just a lot of other teams, even D'Amico Ryans with the Texans, you see that the players are playing for something. And I don't think I've seen the Patriots play for anything this year.
Yeah, I don't think it's a lack of effort. I wouldn't say the guys aren't trying out there.
Yeah.
They totally mailed it in. I think they're playing as well as they can be expected. And I genuinely think they care about Mayo and about the team, and they're trying to win games. But I just don't think there's any real kind of cohesion to this team.
No.
I don't feel like I think they're just kind of 53 guys on a roster right now. I don't want to say playing out the strings. Again, I do think they care and they're trying, but there just really isn't that building toward the future. Again, this season was all about who is the future of the Patriots. Are they in it late? Are there a couple games didn't quite go their way because they just don't have the firepower to keep up or the defensive power to keep up? Fine. But if you're down by like 4 points or 8 points or whatever, and you just need a single defensive stop and you can't generate it, or if you have the ball late and you just throw like a stupid pick into double coverage, not some rookie mistake, but just because like the play call was bad. If there has been a single, maybe there has been, you can remind me when it was, but if there was a single 3rd or 4th and short this season where Drake May snuck it forward, just a simple QB sneak, I don't remember when it was. Has it happened once this season, a Drake May QB sneak?
Totally. Well, it hasn't. I don't think so. But that is the impetus for this whole conversation of Jerod Mayo potentially throwing Alex Van Pelt under the bus. When Mayo was asked in the media, hey, we've seen Drake May be pretty mobile. Why doesn't he get the ball on 3rd or 4th and short? And Jerod Mayo says, you said it, not me. And it's one of those scenarios where you would love to have a moment of reflection and either say, it was my call not to do that because of blank. Give us a reason. Tell us why it wasn't done. Or, hey, you're right. That's a thing that we should be doing more of, because that just speaks to just the overly simplified offense that actually serves no one. I feel like they're coaching like it's the early 2000s when you had to bring along people a certain way, when players are entering the league way more advanced than they were in the past in certain ways, not every way, but in certain ways. And like their knowledge of the game is so much more advanced because college football has been productized. And so they know what's up. You don't have to play such a easy dump it off, swing pass, screen pass, hand it off sort of an offense for these players anymore. In the same way that Drake May is a big boy. He said it after the game. He has size. I'm surprisingly big. Maybe the coaching staff will realize that. He said something along the lines of like, yeah, give me the ball in those situations. And it's true. Everyone is just biting their tongue right now. Everyone is talking around the fact that the play calling has been terrible all year in the same way that they were doing it with Matt Patricia, right? When everyone's just like, we don't think that anyone has an idea of what's happening on offense. We've seen the revolt from week 3 with the wide receivers being like, we don't like what's happening here. Like, what is going on? And it hasn't changed to this point. I would be shocked if Van Pelt stuck around after this year. But for Jerod Mayo to throw him under the bus in the manner that he did was also something that, for me, was an indication that Mayo should absolutely not return next year.
You think he should not return next year? So a one and done for Jerod Mayo if you were the GM of this team?
If I was, absolutely. No hesitation on it. I mean, there's such a fallacy involved too with keeping people with the idea of maybe they'll turn it around, right? Like sometimes, but if you've ever been through an interview, if you've ever managed people, you know pretty early on whether or not it's going to work out. And if things aren't going well, what's happening is that you're putting the pressure on every single other person on this team who wants to be great and telling them to deal with this load of baggage. You are anchoring your entire team to mediocrity or worse. And that is what will happen if they keep Jerod Mayo for another year, is that he's going to choose a different offensive coordinator because I doubt Van Pelt will be back. Drake May will have a second offensive coordinator. And then in year 3, Jerod Mayo is going to be let go. It's going to be a brand new head coach and a brand new offensive coordinator. And Drake May will have had 3 offensive coordinators in 3 years. And then the Patriots will have tanked a bright career. And that's what's going to happen again. We saw it with Mac Jones. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened here as well.
It's funny because I would almost guarantee you Mayo's back next year. If for no other reason that Robert Kraft didn't interview anybody else and said Mayo's been the guy for a couple of years now. And that's just the way it is. He will definitely enter 2025 on the hot seat for sure. Yep. I definitely agree with that. But he's got one more year. And it's funny because I feel like, again, beginning of the season, we were all like, this is a 4-win team. This is a 5-win team, maybe. Maybe they get super hot. Everything goes great. They win like 8. But most people had them at 4 to 5 wins max. And they're kind of on pace for that. I still think they win one more game over the last 3. So it's not so much the wins, losses. It's just that I feel like there haven't been that many losses this season where I'm like, great loss. They were in it right till the end. Just 1 or 2 things didn't go their way. And in a game against the Cardinals, where this is kind of one of those games, really, the Cardinals fumbled a couple of times. They recovered one, and they recovered one in the end zone. They had that ridiculous roughing the passer call. That was a game-changing pick called back. Sometimes games, independent of talent level, the bounces just don't quite go your way. Every team has one of those, and that kind of compounded with just not being able to stop the Cardinals when they needed to. Run defense continued to be atrocious. Kyle Duggar missing tackles left and right, taking bad angles. Don't know what's going on with him. It's just all kind of coming to a head here, and you're seeing people starting to wonder what the hell's going on. What's really surprising to me, though, Rich Hill, is that I guess it's not that surprising if I think about it hard, but given the amount of success and happiness and joy and the 6 Super Bowl titles Robert Kraft has helped to engineer over the past 20 plus years in New England, I feel like he used up all of the grace that a lot of fans were going to show him in less than a season. In the Jerod Mayo era, and nobody wants to hear anything he has to say, and they're now starting to point the finger at Robert Kraft, completely forgetting what he's done for this franchise, the fact that he saved them from going to St. Louis, the fact that he's a fan, season ticket holder who bought the team. Nobody cares about any of that. It's you're not winning anymore. Get the hell out of here. And I think that is just a little bit spoiled, but that may be just me talking.
Oh, I mean, in my head, it's all he's made this bed. Right? Like the whole media campaign that he was doing this year was around how he was the reason why the team was successful. He's the reason why the New England Patriots won all of those things. It wasn't Bill Belichick. It had nothing to do with Bill Belichick. Robert Kraft is the reason for the team's success. And I think we saw over and over and over again that so much of the meddling that he did prior to Bill Belichick has come back, and that he was just really, really lucky to have both Belichick and Tom Brady on the same team at the same exact time, where he was willing to take a back seat. But every time he's interjected himself in a way, it has been for a bad thing.
You're muted or something.
And I think if he just showed one little bit of humility over this past year, he would still have some of the graces of the fans. But it just has been spending an entire offseason just utterly trying to drag Bill Belichick through the mud, who people appreciate. That was not the person to try and drag through the mud to try and make your own Hall of Fame bid. But the fact that it was so transparent, that is why I feel like people don't support him anymore, because he just continues to interject himself in a way that doesn't actually benefit the team.
I wonder if it's also, again, it's nobody's fault here, but there are a lot of people who are now like in their early 30s who are just, for the first time in their life, kind of a fan of a bad team that's in a constant rebuild and just don't know how to function. I don't know. It's interesting. It's a very interesting situation to be in. I didn't think come week 16 in the NFL, we'd be not 3-11. That's fine. It's more that like the way we're 3-11 and the conversations happening outside of just losing games on the field. Because I feel like this team could be there. I do think this team is better than their record shows. They're not a talented roster. They could be like 6 wins right now. I think 6 wins isn't unreasonable. And there are a couple of scenarios where if they just made some adjustments or been a little tougher, had a little more mental toughness, they could have pulled the win out. And not necessarily a bad thing, because at 3-11, they're numbered like 3 in the draft, and they're one of like 7 teams with 3 wins right now. So it's a very interesting battle at the top of the draft order. So I'm not necessarily upset about that, but I was really hoping we'd be here this time in the season and they'd be like 3-11 or 4-10 or whatever the case may be. And we'd be just really optimistic about the overall vibe around the team. And the only real optimism I have is that they have their quarterback and they have an all-pro corner. And that's not a great place to be.
Totally. And I mean, I think a lot of that discourse is also around like those close games. As you mentioned, if some things just go the other way, we'd be talking about this season a little bit differently. And I think we are at the point where just because the talent isn't there, I don't think that the talent is why they're not a 6-7 win team right now. I think if, some of those coin flip games go the other way, Patriots have a better record. But I think the reason that those coin flip games have gone the wrong way is because of the coaching staff. This coaching staff is not what is making them competitive. It is what is preventing them from being league average. And I don't see that changing anytime soon.
No, I don't either. And it's really tough because, again, the coaching staff's going to be in place. Maybe AVP's gone next year. Maybe Covington's gone next year, but Jerod Mayo is going to be the coach next year. And the narrative, that means regardless of how they do next year, unless some kind of magical turnaround, the narrative is going to be Kraft's hubris prevented them from getting Mike Vrabel, prevented them from getting Ben Johnson, prevented them from getting some of the premier coaching candidates who will be getting a job this time next year. And had Kraft just maybe done a better job of looking forward towards Bill Belichick's replacement, we would.
You're muted. Sorry, I had to pause.
Oh, okay.
All right. Ready?
Yeah, it's tough because we're now in a scenario where, when next year happens, when next season kicks off, the narrative, regardless of how it shakes out, unless there's some kind of massive turnaround and they win like 11 games next year, which, they never know. They have a ton of cap space and they have some pieces in place. But unless that happens, the narrative next year is that Bob Kraft's hubris prevented him from getting the real coaching candidate they wanted. They now missed out on maybe Mike Vrabel. They missed out on Ben Johnson. They missed out on some other coaching candidates who are coming into the league, going to be getting a head coaching job next year. And they stuck with Jerod Mayo when they shouldn't have. And that's tough. It's a tricky situation to be in. Drake May was a good draft pick, but like, would literally any head coach of the Patriots have picked Drake May 3rd overall? besides Belichick, who would have traded back and picked the corner second round. Yes, literally anybody else. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. As a game, I'm kind of done taking things away from these games in terms of that. There's really nothing I can break down in terms of the actual Cardinals game. It's more just the overall vibe of the team that I'm not overly happy with.
Totally. And it's one where if the direction of the team, if the vibe felt different, this 3-11 season would also feel different. But it is what it is. And the last 3 weeks of the season is really going to dictate finally how we feel about it all.
Yeah. Vibe is what it is. About this game or chill. You want us to move on to the next one, second down?
Let's move next week.
All right. Second down is week 16, and with always the Around the League section of our podcast is brought to you by Prize Picks, the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less than at least 2 players. And it is the holiday season, which means Prize Picks is being especially generous, and they're giving you a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. So run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. That is right. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. It is the best place to get the sports action, and it puts their members first. So all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. That means when your picks hit, you can get your money in as little as 15 minutes. Plus, Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. Join now because this holiday season, Prize Picks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're also giving away $30 million plus in rewards during Picksmas. So sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play just $5. You don't need to win to get that bonus. It is guaranteed. Just download the app and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app, use code CLNS, and you'll get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, Rich Hill, week 16, the playoff picture is slowly rounding into shape. Pretty crazy slate of games last week. The Lions-Bills was as advertised, crazy game. Patriots-Bills, probably not going to be the same kind of barn-burning offensive firepower, most likely, but there are some pretty interesting games on the slate as teams are jockeying for position, for playoff seeding and whatnot. Which games you stoked about this week, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is an incredible slate of games. I love what the league has done with some of these divisional games happening at the end of the year. But fundamentally, fantastic week. You got the 9-5 Broncos on the road against the 8-6 Chargers. Thursday Night Football, playoff implications on the line. Love that. Saturday, 1 p.m. Shocked it's 1 p.m. game. No idea why it is. But Texans on the road against the Chiefs. Would love for a Texans upset there. You got the Steelers on the road against the Ravens. That's also going to be a great game. You got the Eagles at 12-2 on the road against the 9-5 Commanders. The 12-2 Vikings on the road against the 8-6 Seahawks. And then finally, towards the end of the week, 8-6 Bucks with Baker Mayfield on the road against the 6-8 Cowboys. And Alec, I'm going to tell you this: for a season that we have no connections to the Buccaneers whatsoever. There's not like a former Patriots player that you're like, I'm really pulling for them. The one narrative that I am without a doubt pulling for is Mike Evans trying to crack 1,000 yards for every single season in his NFL career. He missed time this year, missed multiple weeks with an injury. And so everyone thought that his likelihood of getting it was over. There's 3 games left. He needs 250 yards to get it, or 251 yards to get it. I believe in him. He's coming off of a massive week. But that is the narrative with the Patriots eliminated. That is the narrative that I will be following for the rest of the year.
It's funny. You think current players who will be in the Hall of Fame in a couple of years, and Mike Evans doesn't really come up in conversation.
No.
He's a Hall of Fame receiver, in my opinion. Like, he's just the most consistent. He's like the 9th best receiver in the league every single year. It's a weird place to be, but like you're like a top 10 receiver every year. I feel like at some point Mike Evans deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Maybe not on the first ballot, but if you want a fantasy stud who's always going to get you points, he's the kind of guy you want. It's going to be a very interesting conversation. Again, the Lions are my NFC team. I've been rooting for them for a very long time, since the Barry Sanders days. I think they take out the Bears. That was a pretty rough loss to the Bills, a deserved loss, but they're without David Montgomery now. They're in Chicago. I love that Lions-Bears matchup. One of the sneaky, my favorite matchups of the year, just because of the rivalry and the history. Should be a good one. I'll tell you the sneaky good game, Rich Hill. It's going to be Vikings-Seahawks. I know that Geno Smith's a little banged up, and the Vikings aren't quite where they were earlier in the season, but the Vikings are rolling right now. The Seahawks are desperately clinging to the hopes of a playoff spot. That should be a good one. And who'd have thought, Rich Hill, on Sunday, Eagles Commanders would have the game implications that it does. I didn't see that coming early in the season.
Not at all. And those are very good games. One, Jaden Daniels, he's having the season everyone wanted Drake May to have. It's what happens when you have an offensive-minded coordinator and coach that really is putting him in a position to succeed. Would have loved to have that here, everyone. But I do think that the team that has the crown of no one actually believes in them, right? Has to be the Vikings. Everyone, the Bills and the Lions are the darlings of everyone's. The Chiefs have been there before. Everyone knows like what they are capable of. I think that the Vikings, sitting at 12-2, tied for the second best record in the entire league, no one believes in them, right? Because I think everyone's like, well, it's Sam Darnold. Of course they're not going to win it. Like it's a fun story. It's a fun narrative. It's a fun resurgence. They have the exact same record as the Detroit Lions. They are, in a de facto tie for first in the North. They have their season finale against the Lions, a team that they only lost to by 2 points the last time that they played. This is a legitimately very good team, even though they've won some squeakers. And I feel like come the playoffs, they're going to make some noise. And I think people will be like, oh, the interesting question of the offseason is, does Sam Darnold become a mega millions quarterback?
Probably. I wonder if Sam Darnold's a new Ryan Fitzpatrick, where he has like a great season, then he gets traded somewhere for a ton of money, then he sucks, then he gets benched, and someone gets hurt, and he comes back in, earns on a big payday, and around we go. Again, the Vikings drafted a quarterback very high in the first round, so I'm sure they have him in their long-term plans. Very curious to see what they do there. Rich Hill, honestly, I am just procrastinating from the game we're all here to talk about, which is probably the least exciting game, or one of the least exciting games on this slate. It is the Patriots going to Buffalo. It's been flexed out of the 1 p.m. spot for some awful reason into the 4:25 spot. So more people get to watch this happen. I guess we should break this down. Unfortunately for you and me, let's get to this, Rich. 3rd and goal. It is Patriots. It is Bills. This used to be the shoe on the other foot, the turntables, as Michael Scott would say, where the Patriots would come to Buffalo and slap them around twice a season, and it was 2 guaranteed wins because the Bills were terrible. That is no longer the case. I guess we'll start with what's probably going to be the biggest debacle, which is the Bills' offense, which seems pretty unstoppable. They scored over 30 points, 4 straight games now? 5 straight games now? 8 straight games now, excuse me. They scored 30-plus points in 8 straight games. The Patriots can't stop a nosebleed defensively. So this could be a replicate of the 2021 playoffs where the Bills never punted and just scored touchdowns on all 9 offensive drives, whatever it was in that 2021 wildcard game. Can totally see hints of that. But if you are DeMarcus Covington and you are going to make some desperate attempt to stop this Bills offense with this Patriots defense, Rich, how the hell are you doing it?
Pray. There's literally nothing that they can do. This is one of the best offenses in history. I just want to emphasize that right now. The number of teams that have averaged over 3 points per drive, which the Bills currently are, they're averaging over 3 points per drive. There's not a lot. You have the 2007 Patriots. That's one. You have the 2018 Chiefs. Maybe a couple of this is rarefied air what this Bills team is doing right now, and it is all because of Josh Allen, right? You look at every other player on this offense and you're like, where is it coming from? James Cook, pretty good running back. Would anyone say James Cook is a top 5 running back? I doubt it. Would anyone say he's a top 10 running back? If so, he's in the 9-10 spot. Who are their top receivers? Right? They have one receiver with over 500 yards, Khalil Shakir. Who's a good slot receiver, a good Z receiver, not that preeminent type of player. This is a team that is purely just Josh Allen willing them to this. He should win MVP based off of the season that he's currently having. This is truly one of the performances for the ages with what they're doing on this offense. And so when you ask me, what should DeMarcus Covington and this Patriots defense do against this Buffalo Bills team? there's not much. You stack the box. You try and make it so Josh Allen and James Cook can't beat you. You say that Gonzalez, you cover Coleman on the outside. You have to hope that you can cover the tight ends because Knox and Kincaid are both very good receiving tight ends. You have to hope that they don't have a huge game. But the Patriots secondary does match up pretty well against this secondary. In theory, I'm patting my head and pointing my finger at my temple for all our audio listeners here. In theory, the real question is, can the Patriots, who went out there and just looked pathetic against the Cardinals with their run stopping ability, do anything to stop Josh Allen and James Cook? I'm not going to hold my breath, but that's going to be my X factor is, can Anthony Jennings, Keon White, whoever is setting the edge against this Bills team, can they do that job and not look foolish? If so, hey, maybe a couple bounces go the Patriots' way and they can make this competitive. If they can't do that fundamental defensive role, then the Patriots are going to lose by 30.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because, you look at the quarterbacks who've been able to drive down the field against the Patriots in the past couple weeks. Kyler Murray, not a bad quarterback, not a great one. Anthony Richardson engineered a 18-play drive. Trevor Lawrence lit the Patriots up. The quarterbacks are not of the caliber of Josh Allen, who's having, as you said, an MVP caliber. I think he's kind of running away with the MVP this year. And the number of times in the past, the Patriots have allowed a quarterback to just kind of run around and extend the play, not to mention the running threat that Josh Allen represents. And my only knock on Josh Allen as a player, something I enjoy from a personal standpoint, but also Bills fan, this is driving me nuts, he just refuses to ever go down. He will never go down. It could be 3rd and 40, and they could have 3 guys hanging off him. He's going to try and run for 3 yards to punt on 4th and 37. That's just how he rolls. And the Patriots can't tackle this year. They're missing tackles left and right. There's all. Why would he not just take off if there's ever any doubt that there's somebody not open or the running lanes are blocked? He could be the first ever quarterback to rush for 100 yards in a game in this one.
Yep.
I'm being obviously facetious, but he's going to have an absolute field day extending plays to those legs. Because if I'm watching game tape, I'm just salivating at the inability to stop mobile quarterbacks, to stop the run, to break tackles, to make tackles. It just seems that he's got to make a lot of run the ball, take a couple deep shots, and let Josh Allen have an absolute field day. My X factor is going to probably be my X factor until he gets off my X factor list. I made him last X factor. Kyle Duggar, man, just show up. Just show up for a game. Do something. In years past, you'd be kind of the guy I'd be relying on to maybe spy Josh Allen. You just kind of, your job is to kind of follow him around the field and prevent him from doing too much. I don't trust that in him this season, so maybe it's a Brandon Schooler game. I don't know, but maybe Kyle Duggar can shake off whatever's bothering him, and he can light Josh Allen up in the backfield a couple of times, prevent the big run, or stuff him on 3rd and short. I'm not overly optimistic, but yeah, your point, they have to keep Allen in the pocket, keep everything in front of him. Don't give up any deep plays. Don't let James Cook run for 4 yards a carry and just hope to get a tipped turnover, some short fields for the offense. And as with any NFL team, you have a puncher's chance. And that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah. Now, I mean, a lot has to go the Patriots' way for them to be competitive in this one, right? I don't think that there's been a lot of games that they've been super competitive in the sense that who are the best teams that they've faced this year? Texans, they got annihilated by them. 49ers, before they suffered every single injury, annihilated them. The Cardinals just also annihilated them. The Rams, a little bit close. This was when they were just getting healthy. They weren't into a groove back. There's not a lot of good teams that they've faced this year. And the ones that they have that are good have had no problem with it. And it comes down to the defense, right? I mean, we were talking about this of what are the Patriots doing well. They've had 1, maybe 2 good days on defense. I'll give them 3. The Bears game, truly a great day on defense for them. Truly. The Dolphins and the Bengals games, the only other 2 that I would consider. They lost to the Dolphins 15-10. They beat the Bengals, obviously 16-10. Every other game, they've been below average on defense. down to where they've been actually just really atrocious against the Rams, against the Cardinals. I'm expecting one of those other atrocious games. I'm hoping, Alec, it's not going to be similar to the past couple of games where the Bills scored every single drive in like a game and a half against the Patriots a couple years ago. I'm hoping it's not that. I'm not expecting it to be that. But in order for the Patriots to win this game, they're going to need to win the turnover margin by over 2. And they're going to need to have a few more mistakes on the Bills side to have that chance.
Yeah, and look, the Bills really need this game. You know, they're 2 games back from the Chiefs. The good news is Patrick Mahomes banged up with the Chiefs playing on Saturday. Maybe Carson Wentz gets the start. Texans are also right in the thick of the playoff hunt. They're going for playoff seeding as well. So maybe the Chiefs lose and the Bills win. They really, really need this game. It's in Buffalo. The Patriots have, I think, 11 turnovers all season, which is pretty abysmal. They just can't seem to generate any turnovers. Again, they can't get any stops. Like I said, this could be a scenario where maybe everything goes the Patriots' way and they're only down by like 9 and they need a stop to try and generate some kind of comeback. And that is when Josh Allen is going to march right down the field and just score the way he has every single week against much better teams than the Patriots. Again, I'm holding out very little hope for this defense, which means the only real chance the Patriots have to be in this game is to hang with them offensively. Let's go to 4th and goal. Patriots offense against Bills defense. Drake May and company. Maybe Drake May will have a career day. Maybe we'll look back on the 2024. We'll say week 16 at Buffalo was his breakout game, and everything. 400 yards, 4 TDs. Pop Douglas had 2. Jalen Polk had 2. Who knows? Probably not. But let's just pretend. Let's keep the party going, Rich Hill. If you are the Patriots offense, what is your strategy for keeping up with this Bills offense and keeping this Bills defense on the field?
Yeah, there's not a lot. There's not a lot that you can do on this one. No, I mean, like, if we're going to be hopeful on this one, you look at this Bills defense. They're good. They're not as good as their offense, but they're solid. They rank 24th though in yards allowed per carry, and they are league average against the pass. Where they struggle, again, perhaps kind of on purpose, is that they rank like 27th and 28th in time of possession and number of plays against. Part of it on purpose, right? You want the other team to kind of just drag out their drives so that way they can't keep up with Josh Allen and how they are operating. How do they function with their defense? They have not a lot of stars up front, I would say, necessarily. They have good players. Don't get me wrong. They have good players. But I wouldn't say that they have a lot of immediate stars right now. They have a lot of potential, but no stars. I think their secondary has good rotational players, but again, no stars. And so if I'm the Patriots, I'm going to just try and use Ramondre Stevenson. And also, if I'm the Patriots, kind of outside of this game with the Bills, there's 3 games left this year. 3 games. If they come out here and they are throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage against this Bills team, they are going to be laughed out of the stadium. They are not even going to have a chance. The only way that they can beat this Bills team is by taking some big swings. And that means getting some big plays. Booty is going to have an 80-yard day. Douglas is going to have 10 catches for 80. Henry is going to have to get a couple of scores in the red zone. Someone else is going to have to do a thing. And what's good is that there aren't a lot of top players here that would be like, oh, you're going to erase this. You're going to take away some of these options. And so the way that they do it, you know, whether it's Baker out there, if he's going to be available to play or not, if it's Booty, if it's going to be Bourne, they need to have, 3 or 4 30-yard plays to keep punching with this Bills team. The X factor for the Patriots, as it probably should have been this entire year, is Alex Van Pelt. Yeah. That is the X factor. What type of a game does he call here? Does he call it like, was it Riverboat Ron with the Panthers, when all of a sudden he was on the hot seat and then he just started actually going for it on 4th down, which is the right choice. It is the right choice to go for it in some of those situations. And hey, it saved his career. And Is that what's going to happen here with Van Pelt? This is his like first time actually calling plays in his career, right? He's always been like the de facto coordinator, but not actually the one playing the calls. This is his shot. Is he going to actually try and do it? Or is he going to try and lead a dink and dunk offense against this Bills team, which is just not going to work? If that's what happens, they lose the game again by 30. If they put the players in position to get some big chunk plays, hey, I'll keep watching.
You know, it's funny because I feel like the smart play offensively, there was a game in maybe 2007, if I remember correctly, in my football history serves, where it was the Dolphins against the Peyton Manning-led Colts. It was Chad Pennington and Tony Sperano against Peyton Manning and the Colts. And the Dolphins had like 48 minutes of possession. And the Colts still won because every time, like, of like the 4 drives Peyton Manning had, he stopped them. He scored, excuse me, and the Dolphins scored like field goals. I'll have to go back and look at the actual scores, like Colts, Dolphins, 2000, around there. And because I feel like that is the strategy. Just keep the Bills offense off the field for as long as humanly possible. If there was a way to call like a 3-yard run on every single play and snap the ball at 1 second left on the game clock and just run forward for 3 yards every single play, that's probably the best strategy. But I think in terms of, do I want to save my job? Do I want to showcase my ability for future employment? Yeah, you want to get a little creative with your playbook. And you want to see in these last 3 weeks, this is your last kind of the last 3 weeks of tryouts, so to speak. So why would you not take some triple reverse launch down the field, let Demario Douglas
see
throw?
What Polk can do.
Why not? Why not? Let's throw Cole Strange at center. He's my X factor again. I'm keeping Cole Strange my X factor. He's back to practice again. I want to see the offensive line have some semblance of some cohesion. We got to get Darian Lowe out of there, even though he's the best option they have at left tackle. I don't really want him out of there, but he has to be out of there for the future. This is all about saving some face and seeing which of the players that haven't really emerged yet. We all know who the quote-unquote future of the team is offensively. We know it's Drake May. Hunter Henry still a serviceable tight end. I love Antonio Gibson. He's having a sneaky great season. He was a good pickup. Got Pop Douglas, of course. Keyshawn Boutte, I think, is a good receiver. I know they're going to go all in on T. Higgins in the offseason, but they still need one more piece in play. Why not empty the playbook, see what happens for your own sake? But again, the strategy, I think, is just to run the ball methodically and hope to score points on drives. The problem, though, Rochelle, I think you mentioned that you want 2 scores from Hunter Henry this week. I think he has 1 touchdown all season. They just don't score touchdowns in the red zone. They just don't. If there was ever a team better at turning a 1st and goal from the 9 into a missed field goal at the 35 due to penalties and illegal shifts and holding formations, I don't know who that team is. So maybe the X factor is, I hate to say this, maybe the offensive X factor is red zone touchdowns, because we just don't seem to see those at all this year.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those situations where if Hunter Henry did get 2 touchdowns, and every time that I said that the X factor was him getting 2 touchdowns, maybe they'd be a winning team. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm just right here, Alec. Okay, maybe it is Hunter Henry needs to score. It is one of those wild things where, can you believe it? Jalen Polk has 2 receiving touchdowns on the year, which is tied for second most on the year. Yeah, Austin Hooper has 3, Douglas and Polk have 2, and then a bunch of players have 1. But the fact that he has more receiving touchdowns than Henry and Boutte, and even Bourne at this stage of the season, is wild to me. It is one where just put him out there. 3 weeks. I don't care. We save Kendrick Bourne, save him. We don't need to use him the rest of this year. That is the role that they wanted Polk to have in the long term. Let the kids play. Let the kids play. Put Douglas in the slot, Polk in the Z, Boutte at the X. Let them go. See what they can do. Let Drake May call this offense. I think it would be better.
Well, Rich, I'm sufficiently depressed over what's going to happen in this game. So let's wrap this up. I think we're both on the same page in terms of we're just going to kind of hope for a Festivus miracle this weekend, and maybe the Patriots pull something. Again, I still think they're going to win one more game this year. Is it this one? We'll go to our predictions and find out. Let's get to this Bills prediction. As always, our predictions are brought to you by GameTime.co. It is the best place to get tickets. At Buffalo in December is a bucket list item for me. I would love to go see a Bills game in December at Buffalo. And if you want to go this year, I can't go this year, but you can go if you go to Game Time and get your tickets, not just NFL, but theater, sports, concerts, comedy, you name it. Game Time has got it. It's all about spending time together in the holidays. So what better place to all get together and go to an awesome live event with Game Time. There's a new feature on Game Time called Game Time Picks that makes tickets getting easier for live events even easier, and it filters out all the fluff to show you only the best deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of other tickets. Game Time Picks, like I said, it curates their picks to make it easier to save money. And as always, the all-in pricing, you can toggle that feature, give you the entire total up front, no surprise fees, hidden taxes, and whatnot at checkout. And with Seat View option, you can get a panoramic view of your seat from the app before you buy. And as always, there's a lowest price guarantee on Game Time, or they will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take all the guesswork out of tickets with Game Time. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. It's actually prediction time, Rich Hill. And if I go back, let's see, you were smart and you picked the Cardinals to win this game 31-24. You're relatively close in your prediction. So good work. Yeah. I think just as a rebel pick, I picked the Patriots. I was clearly wrong. So one more for you. You get the hammer. Patriots at Buffalo for all the marbles. Who you got?
How do we stand up over the course of the season here? What's the current record and tally?
That's a good question.
I need to know if I need to go opposite of you on any of these things to have a chance.
All right. So not counting preseason where I went 3-0, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 correct picks this season. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 correct picks this season. And we were wrong a couple of times, both of us. So that's where we're at right now.
All right. Well, I think in this one, I'm going to do a big surprise here. I think the Bills win this one. So again, the Bills, they've scored 30 or more points in 8 straight games. They have a chance to set NFL history by scoring 30 straight in 9 games in a row. Are they going to do it against this Patriots defense? Absolutely. This is a Patriots defense that is one of the worst we've seen since, the past 25, 30 years. It is a bad defense. And this is, as we mentioned, potentially the 3rd best offense in NFL history. And definitely over the past 20 years, 07 Patriots, 18 Chiefs, this 24 Bills team, extremely efficient. And I expect them to come out, put a high 30 against the Patriots, put up 38 points. I don't think that the Patriots are going to hang. I think that they're going to get some garbage time scores. I think that they won't be completely embarrassed on offense because this is not a great Bills defense. And when they have a big enough lead, what's the point? I think that the Bills win this one something like 38-24. It won't feel that close. I think the Patriots will get like a late garbage time touchdown to pull it a little bit closer, but I think that the Bills win this one beyond comfortably.
I would love to see the Patriots score 24 points, honestly. That'd be great. I'd be very happy with that. Look, I mean, for the sake of the podcast, I should pick the Patriots as an upset special, just kind of keep it easy. But there's just no way.
No way.
In this game. I just can't. There's just no reality where the Patriots go to Buffalo in a semi-primetime game where the Bills really need to keep up with the Chiefs for the playoff seeding and steal one from the Bills. Unless the Bills are exhausted from that Lions game, but they won that one pretty comfortably as well. So there's really no reason the Patriots will win this game. So if you have 38-24, again, I do not think they're going to score that many points. I think the Bills absolutely smoke the Patriots here. I'm going to go 42-17 Buffalo. Again, maybe that 17 points comes in a garbage time touchdown scored by maybe the real fun with this game when it's like 42-10 with 3 minutes left in the game. Joe Milton comes in and throws a bomb to Booty or something like that. Or Joe Milton to Javon Baker. Maybe he's like healthy. I don't know. I want to see something fun that we can talk about next podcast. I feel like the bulk of our conversation next week is going to be like, that was rough. And so maybe there'll be one little fun moment of this game where it's completely out of hand and we can just kind of cling desperately to that.
Totally. Well, the other alternative, Alec, which we haven't really considered, I think Mike Reese mentioned this on ESPN around the potential for Jerod Mayo's future only potentially being at stake if they look completely non-competitive. And I don't know what that means. I thought they looked pretty darn non-competitive against the Cardinals. But if the Bills come out here and put out like a 40-0 romp, I would kind of have fun watching that in like a very, very macabre kind of way, right? That'd be one where I'm just be like, hey, if that's what it takes, cool. I'm fine with that. I don't want them to lose. I want them to be competitive. I want them to be a good team. I don't want them to extend certain people on the team for the sake of just extending mediocrity. And the only thing that could possibly cause an off-season shift is if there's some sort of international embarrassment like the Patriots against the Colts in Germany last year when it was like, okay, Belichick's done. The only possible way that we can see that is if the Bills come out here, run up the score on the Patriots in a way that just feels like the Patriots don't deserve to be out there. Like they were just as if they come out here as unprepared as they did against the Cardinals, that 40 to maybe 7 score is completely on the table.
Just you watch, Rich. We're gonna go back in here to break down the next game. It'll be like a 30-10 Patriots win. And just to prove once again and for all that we have no idea what we're talking about. You heard it here first. Even though I'm keeping my prediction 42-17, now the Patriots are almost guaranteed to win because we reverse jinxed it. So I'll take it.
Absolutely. Well, I hope that you're right with that follow-up prediction. And Alec, I have nothing else on week 16 of the NFL season. We got 3 more games to go. Hopefully that this is an exciting one against the Bills. Do you have any final thoughts on week 16 of the NFL season?
May the Lord help us all with this one.
Well, until next time, Alec, you have a good one.
You too, buddy. See ya.
Later, man.